I think we're going.
Okay. Yep, I got a little live signal up on the top of my thing.
I'm just waiting for it to come up on mine.
Okay.
Okay, so there we are.
Excellent.
So hello everyone, my name is Leslie LaRose and I am the director here at the Augusta Memorial Public Library. I am here today with Samma Johnson, who wanted to do their own introduction, so I'm going to turn it right over to them. Take it away, Sam.
Hi, thanks for joining me to probably post-watch all of this to learn more about the benefits of NaNoWriMo and how to be a rebel. I think a lot of people tend to think that National Novel Writing Month has to only be about writing a novel, and that's not true at all. So who am I and why should you listen to me? I'm Samma Johnson. I am a municipal liaison, or ML, with the USA Wisconsin Elsewhere region. I have been doing that since 2014. I have been a NaNoWriMo participant, meaning that I write 5,000 words every year since 2009. I have had 11 wins. Hopefully this will be my 12th one. I've also done 2 camps that have been successful. I have reached my goal. There have been other attempts that we just won't talk about. Camp is harder than regular Nano. I will just go ahead and say that. It gets you into a different mindset. I've also been a NaNoWriMo forum moderator since 2018, which can be fun. It can also be a little trying, but I have really enjoyed all of the opportunities I have had thus far to be a more helpful member of this very large, very dynamic community that has been built. I have started writing or hosting Come Write-ins with the Augusta Library in 2011. And I continued to do that until I left right before NaNoWriMo in 2018. And then I started doing stuff at the Cadott Library, where I am now the director. I joke with people that I have sold my soul to NaNoWriMo. If you talk to Heather Dudley, who is the lead forum moderator, she will tell you that she keeps it in a jar above her desk. So whether that is true or not, you'll have to discuss with Heather. But that is me in a nutshell. I started doing NaNoWriMo. I'd heard about it the year before, and it came back around, and I said, that sounds like a really interesting challenge. You think about it, it's just under 2,000 words a day. I've definitely written more than that in a day. And it sounded like a fun challenge, and I took it on, and I have now been doing it every year since. So, questions?
So you will probably get to this at one point, but to be clear, NaNoWriMo, the short answer is 50,000 words in 30 days.
Yes.
And and you are, I want to say you are still sane, but part of me thinks, and part of me always has, because I have known you the entire time and longer that you have been doing this.
Yep.
You were sane to begin with and still thought that was a good idea.
Well, okay, so the first year that back in 2009, when I said, hey, that sounds like a fun challenge, let's see how it goes. I started late. I started November 3rd of 2009, and I finished within 2 weeks. I wrote a start to finish, beginning to end novel of just over 50,000 words before Thanksgiving. So, the next year came around and I said, well, that was easier than I thought. Let's do that again. Year 2 was not as easy. So sometimes people hear that I wrote this novel in, 2 weeks, and they come back and they're like, how the heck did you do that? And part of the thing is that I have a regular writing habit. I write year round. Writing is a thing that I love to do. So having already kind of built up a stamina for writing definitely has helped me keep these wins under my belt. Last year, if you talk to my new co-ML, Ariana, she will tell you, I struggled last year. There was just a lot of stuff happening in my life. And while I really loved my idea, last year I wrote a reboot of Trixie Belden, like Trixie and Honey grown up. And I restarted it probably 4 times. I told my entire region, I'm like, I feel like I'm letting you down because I hate everything about this and I just want to be done. But my go-to phrase whenever I talk to any of my RIMOs is, I believe in you. So they started throwing that right back at me, and I managed to cross that finish line. It was a really tight finish. I think it was probably about 11:30 on the 30th that I told my writers that were in our Discord chat with me, I'm like, I am done and I am never looking at this book again. So, and I have not. I might reread it at some point just to see if that actually had any good things in there. I don't remember anything being good. It was just such a struggle. But, it definitely helps. If you are already a writer, you can push your way through it, especially if it is something that is fun for you. The Trixie Belden reboot ended up not being very fun for me, whereas other years it's just something, an idea that entered my head and it seemed like a good idea, and I just go away with it. My best year, I have written just over 68,000 words, which may sound impressive, but there are people who regularly hit 100,000 words. There is a small group of overachievers, which is what we call them, that they're part of the Millionaires Club. They write 1 million or more words in the month of November.
Good God.
Yeah, they are the ones that we definitely question their sanity. But it takes all kinds. Yeah, I don't think I could ever do it. It's around 34,000 words a day, and my wordiest day, according to my NaNoWriMo stats, is around 19,000 words in one day. And that was another year where I really struggled and I needed to build up a buffer on my word count. So I'm still working toward that 20K day, but yeah, I'm greatly aided by the fact that I am a regular writer and it is a hobby that I enjoy. And to me, writing is a hobby. It is not a job. I think if it was a job for me, I wouldn't want to do it anymore. So.
Okay, so I don't know that we have verified that you are not insane, but let's get a little more about NaNo out there. So walk us through everything NaNo.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to start with, because I am sure I have already said some words that made someone out there go, what? What is she talking about? So NaNoWriMo, some people will also pronounce it NaNoWriMo. They are wrong. Is National Novel Writing Month. Nano is what we shorten NaNoWriMo to when we're talking about the event. So Nano is the event itself. A RIMO is a person who participates in the event. There was a short period of time that I remember a lot of new people were confusing those two things. And so it actually prompted me to create a list of NaNo nomenclature, which is available on the forms. It should be easy to find. It's in the newbie category. And I think that has really helped some people because calling a participant a nano just seems bizarre to me. An ML, or a municipal liaison, it sounds really fancy, and I am sure that if we were, considering changing that designation, we would instead be like regional coordinators. But RC just does not have the same kind of mouth feel as ML, so we'll stick with municipal liaison for now. But we are the local and regional coordinators for, local communities. So I am one of 4 MLs in the Wisconsin Elsewhere region. Here in our area, there are also 2 MLs in Eau Claire. There are, I'm trying to think where the other regions are. There's quite a few. Milwaukee, Ozaukee, Kenosha has their own. Platteville has a region that currently does not have an ML. So if you're in the Platteville area, they could use the regional coordinator. Like I get really sad that they don't have someone on the ground there really helping talk up Nano. Elsewhere is one of the largest regions in the state. We cover about half of it. The second largest would be the northern region, which is pretty much the whole state of Wisconsin above Highway 35. There are regions all over the world. Some are very, very small, like I said, city regions like Eau Claire or Platteville. Some are very large, such as the entire country of Germany. I was talking to someone about that today. So yeah, regions are always kind of in flux. We add new ones every year, as demand calls for it. The main site, which is NaNoWriMo.org, is kind of where you are going to find like your central regional information. That is where you update your word count, where you announce your novel. You can invite people to be your buddies. I do not use that function, so it's there to use if you want. You can get writing badges when you update your word count. You can award yourself badges, for instance. But the forums are now a kind of a separate thing and that is forms.nanowrimo.org. Last year, we got a brand new website and brand new form software, which caused some problems, but I hope that a lot of those bugs have been worked out and people are excited to come back and learn how to use these new fantastic tools that we have. The forums are where the larger community gathers together. It is a good thing to remember that it is a form software, so there are individual threads under these categories and subcategories. It is not a chat room. I know sometimes new people come in and they post something and they get really frustrated because it's not an instantaneous reply. And, it's not even that people don't see your thread. It's that, I don't have anything to add to your thread, but I might come back to it later. And so sometimes you have to wait 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, a whole day. Sometimes no one will reply, but continue to be active.
That must be painful for people nowadays.
Sometimes, yeah, it is. It's not the same kind of instant gratification of being in, like our region uses a Discord chat, which is fairly instantaneous. Someone tends to always be around. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different for people who have not used forms before. But it is a lot of fun, a lot of really good, interesting conversations happen there. And I cannot imagine taking part in NaNoWriMo in any other kind of conversational way outside of these forums. It has just kind of become like the heart of the community is this one place. I also want to mention the Young Writers Program, or ywp.nanowrimo.org. This is a safe writing space just for kids ages however old you let your child online, to 18. They have their own form and an on-site word processor with cloud storage. You can also create classroom modules. So if you are a homeschool parent who wants to use NaNoWriMo as a module for your homeschooling, you can actually create a classroom as an educator and then add your kids to the classroom so they are all in one place. And if you need help with that, there are people that can walk you through that probably much better than I can. You just got to ask up on the forums. It was a recent discussion just the other day, actually. So you can always just ask and say, how do I do that? And one of us will let you know.
I think the Young Writers Program was what caught my attention about this way back at that 2011 spot, because I have no interest in writing myself, but I know that there have got to be people that we come into contact just here at the library that do really have that interest.
The cool thing about the Young Writers Program is that while they can try 50,000 words, they can actually choose their own word count. So they get a little bit of a break for that. The other thing with the Young Writers Program, teachers or, like I said, homeschool parents, even, just like groups that want to work together or have their kids work together, you can order like classroom kits that will include like a really fun chart, and they've got stickers, and you can watch everybody's progress kind of together on this chart. They have buttons. In the past couple of years, they have done the rubber bracelets, pencils. I don't think that they have done their own t-shirts the last couple of years, but most of the t-shirts do come in youth sizes. I am wearing one of my Gold Winner shirts today. I actually own two of this one because this one is actually not the one I meant to wear today. It's a little bit older and has some fading issues I didn't notice in the dark when I got dressed this morning. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. But yeah, so
even without the t-shirts, I am highly motivated by stickers and pencils. So
I do not have this year's stickers on me. They are at home. But this is last year's sticker. Participants can get these from the MLs. I know, right? And these are unique. You can typically only get these from MLs. Last year, they were also made available to come right in locations like libraries, which is why I have these at the library with me. This year, because of COVID-19, I am actually acting as a Midwestern sticker hub. People can contact me and I will mail them a sticker. If you are part of the Wisconsin Elsewhere region, I also have a very special regional sticker that is brand new this year. I had a previous sticker that was really cute. It had a cow and a coffee stain around it, and it said Wisconsin Sprinters, which is what we call ourselves. And this year's sticker, I don't want to spoil anything, but I really like it. I thought it was cute, and my co-MLs approved it. So even though it is very me-centric, I guess I'm rude like that. But anyway, any questions about definitions at all? Did I cover the ones?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No, I think so this is not my first conversation with you about Nano, but I think this covers anything, and there was nothing that you have said that jumped out at me as being maybe I don't know that, or maybe anyone else wouldn't. So I think we're good with definitions.
All right. So what is NaNoWriMo? As we said earlier, it is a challenge to write 50,000 words in 30 days. NaNoWriMo is also a 501c3 nonprofit that and I'm reading this verbatim, it is what is on their website, that believes in the transformational power of creativity. We provide the structure, community, and encouragement to help people find their voices, achieve creative goals, and build new worlds on and off the page. So NaNoWriMo, originally it started under an organization called Office of Letters and Lights. They are now just NaNoWriMo, and they are a 501c3 nonprofit, which they became a nonprofit in 2006. So it has been quite a while. Last year, they celebrated their 20th anniversary. So because they began in 1999. When they started in 99, it was a guy called Chris Beatty, who is still somewhat active in our community, but he has since handed over the reins to our new director, Grant Faulkner, who is a super fantastic guy as well. But Chris started this with a couple of friends, and they all kind of had writing aspirations, and they said, hey, we should just try and do this thing. So they picked the month of November to try this challenge, because no month is good for trying to write your novel. So they knew that, in November, it's fall, there's Thanksgiving, but it's at the end of the month. So they decided that November just kind of worked for whatever reason. And it has been in November ever since. NaNoWriMo hosts more than 1 million writers. That does not mean that 1 million people participate every year. And I'll bring up those statistics for last year in just a minute to kind of show you what I mean. The Young Writers Program is used as a teaching tool in almost 6,000 classrooms, mostly in like the Southern California area, because that is where they are headquartered, is Berkeley, California. At one point, they did kind of do a little bit more outreach, but for now, because that is where they are headquartered, they are very much focused on that area. But they do have outreach to other places as well. They hope to someday be able to move Young Writers Program and those teaching tools and some of the support that they're able to give those classrooms on the international level as well. So last year there were 4,055, oh my gosh, I cannot read today, 455,080 writers that announced a project. So at least started NaNoWriMo. I don't know that we got really great finishing statistics last year just because of the new site and some of the bugs that happened with it. They may be there and I just didn't see them. There are 966 volunteer municipal liaisons for 669 regions over 6 continents. The only continent that does not have a region would be Antarctica. However, there is an elsewhere region that if there are scientists in Antarctica or very clever penguins, they can join the elsewhere region, which does have an ML. I have to look at that region every once in a while when I'm answering questions. And yeah, they cover pretty much anywhere else that there is not already a region, because it would be literally impossible to cover every country and every place. 968 libraries, bookstores, and community centers opened as come write-in locations, such as our local libraries. I did host write-ins last year. This year, our write-ins will be online. I don't remember if I kept it in here, but there is kind of an edict out from HQ this year because of COVID-19. We are not doing any in-person programming or events. So everything is virtual. So if you want to do a write-in, but the times that the MLs in elsewhere or the MLs in Eau Claire or wherever you are don't work, check out another region, because there is probably a write-in happening at literally any time of day. And we're all online, so you might as well join in. They're not going to know the difference. They are just happy to have people come and participate, because that is the one great thing about Nano, is that we are happy to share our resources and we love talking to people from anywhere. So I I did not mention Camp NaNoWriMo earlier. So Camp NaNoWriMo happens in April and July. It is similar in that, you're writing a novel in a month, but you can choose your own word count. So it tends to be a little less stressful. A lot of people use it for other things rather than writing a novel. Maybe they use it to edit their novel. A little bit more rebellious behavior happens in April and July, which I'll talk about toward the end of this. But yeah, there were over 70,000 campers in April and July last year. Okay, any questions?
So let's talk about did we do this already? Let's talk about benefits, the benefits of NaNo. That was part of our title. So why do it? Like, why put yourself through 50,000 words in 30 days? Why stress over? Because I'm thinking that it's not just the 50,000 words. Yeah. From what I get from the conversations we've had, it's coming up with the idea behind those 50,000 words. Any writer's block that you have within those 30 days, you have to struggle through, suck it up, do all of that, which just for me makes it even more daunting. Why still would someone say, that's something I want to do?
So I think I bring this up a little bit later, kind of like why. But so for me, doing NaNoWriMo has always been about the community. And I think the community is the biggest benefit to participating in NaNoWriMo.
So it's not just a way to slack off during the 30
No,
days.
You have this entire community behind you. There over 400,000 people all have this same goal in mind. There are 400,000 other people pushing through, trying to do this thing so that at the end of the month, I don't even want to do that math, but how many new words toward a novel, or someone they pick up a project that they've been working on for a really long time and they say, this is it, I'm going to finish it this month, and that they finally finish that novel. The people that come like me, I always kind of have a goal of that. I like to write a beginning to end novel. Even though 50,000 words is more of a novella. Your average novel is actually going to be closer to 80,000 to 100,000 words, depending on your genre, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. So yeah, the idea that I'm not alone doing this. There are a bunch of other people in the exact same boat, and we're all cheering each other on. Writing can be a very lonely hobby. It's not something generally that you do with other people. You might join like a critique group or something where you write it on your own alone by yourself, and then you take it to this critique group and all they do is rip it apart on you. Whereas during NaNoWriMo, you're together, even if it's virtually, and you can tell people when I'm really struggling with this character and they're not quite doing what I want them to do, and you can bounce ideas off of people. You can hear what other people are doing and working on. You can give each other like little challenges. Even just seeing how far other people are getting can feel very encouraging. Like I really liked seeing other people's progress numbers. When you're getting really close to the end and you see all of these people that have their green completed bars on the forms, and you're just like, oh, I'm so close to getting that green bar and being done. Or maybe I think they're purple now, actually. but and you watch people, oh, your bar, it's about halfway, you're making headway on that. It's easy to like cheer people on and like, oh, you're so close. And that's really where it comes down to, my always, I believe in you, because I believe that anybody can do this, whether they have written anything before beside, like a paper for English class when they were in high school, what feels like a million years ago, or, they have just sat and said, writing might be an interesting hobby. It doesn't matter how much experience you have, because there are people from all walks of life that are doing this thing all at the same time. Some of them have never written anything before, and some of them are traditionally published authors who are writing their 20th book. You never know. Throwing out some names, Rainbow Roll wrote Fangirl as a NaNoWriMo project. Brandon Sanderson has written several novels as NaNoWriMo projects. Erin Morgenstern wrote The Night Circus as a NaNoWriMo project. Sarah Gruen wrote at least 2 of her books, but specifically Water for Elephants as a NaNoWriMo project. So there are all kinds, and that's not even taking into account the indie self-published authors who do NaNoWriMo every year. And then you've got some people like me for a very long time that were just like, I just like writing. I don't care about being published. I just like being part of this community. So yeah, people from all backgrounds, and the community is really one of the biggest benefits, and knowing that you're not alone.
I don't want to get into this too much, because we do talk about rebelling later, but it's not all novel writers either.
Nope. So way back in the early days of Nano, there was actually an April event called Script Frenzy, where people wrote screenplays or plays or dramatic writing of whatever kind. So a lot of people, because they no longer do Script Frenzy because they didn't have enough participators in it. So now a lot of people do Script Frenzy in place of Nano, or sometimes they'll do it in place of a camp like April Camp, which was when Script Frenzy traditionally was. This year, and we do talk about it a little bit later, but there are people who write short story collections, like they just have a goal to write a new short story every day. The thing I'm seeing a lot right now is people writing graphic novels. There are people who write like non-traditional novels, like choose your own adventures and that kind of a thing. So Nano is whatever you want to make of it. There are some people that don't even like write a novel. They're actually like editing a novel, or, they want to be part of this community. So they kind of finagle their way into, how can I participate while also accomplishing something I really want to do? And that's where rebeling comes in. And yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
So I know that you do have a slide listing out benefits. So why don't we bring that up and go through anything that you have not already mentioned. I love that there are published authors that are a part of this. That's part of another reason why I love endorsing this as a librarian, because books.
We have those books on the shelves.
Yeah. Exactly. So the idea that we can do something to support the people that are giving me the things I want to read, I don't see anything bad about that.
Yeah. Okay, so what NaNoWriMo does, as I've already kind of alluded to, it provides an online community for writers, and it's year round. A lot of people only stick around for the main event in November, and then sometimes they'll come back around camp in April and July. But we're there year round whenever you need us, because the over-encompassing goal of Nano is really to get the participants into a habit of writing. Like for me and my ever impressive word counts and wins, it is greatly aided by the fact that I have a regular writing habit. No, I'm really bad. I don't write every day. But in November, I have to in order to finish. So it really helps to enforce the habits that I have created. Even if, out of season, I only maybe write a couple of days a week or, 1 week here and then I'll take a week off. But it keeps me wanting to work on my projects. It also helps create regional communities. So in elsewhere, for example, one of our MLs is in La Crosse, and La Crosse has like 3 writing groups, if not more, that I don't even know of. And almost all of them have some kind of a tie to NaNoWriMo. Whether, someone brought it to the table and said, hey, I heard about this thing and I think it would be really fun to do. Is anyone else interested in doing it with me? Or, it was a group of writers that were all in La Crosse going to write-ins together. And they said, hey, let's keep doing this in the off season. So yeah, like it's this big international thing, but it also is a very close-knit, small, regional home community and homegrown, run by people who live here. So there are a ton of support and networking opportunities every November, as well as during camp. There are pep talks from published popular authors. Some examples there. I've already mentioned Erin Morgenstern, as a published Rimo, but Jasmine Guillory, V.E. Schwab, Andy Weir, Dean Koontz, who I was really surprised to see one by Dean Koontz. I think I might have called you or I talked to you and I said, I thought Dean Koontz was dead. And you're like, what? So I felt kind of bad. Gail Carson Levine, who is probably one of my favorite YA juvenile fantasy authors. Neil Gaiman has written pep talks and actually probably one of my favorite pep talks. John Green. And those are just to name a few popular authors that people are always talking about. They also have partnerships and sponsors through the Ninja Writers Club, Dabble, Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, Scrivener, which is a super popular writing software for writers, Ingram Spark, which is a self-publisher, AutoCrit, which is an editing software, and a bunch more. They change every year. Sometimes, things happen and a sponsor doesn't come back or they take a break. And sometimes they offer things like free trials during NaNoWriMo. For example, Scrivener. Every year that I can remember, they have offered a free extended trial through NaNoWriMo. And then winners at the end, so people who hit their 50,000 words, they will get a 50% off code for the software, which is usually around, I think, $50. So with the 50% off, it's only $25, which if you like a robust writing software that has a lot of bells and whistles to it, some organizational and plotting tools, Scrivener for $25 is a steal. They also do things like virtual write-ins. They do those through YouTube. They have author talks that I believe they also live stream to YouTube. They participate in something called Pitchapalooza with, I think it's the Book Doctors. So they encourage NaNoWriMo participants to email in their 150 word pitches for their books, and then the Book Doctors select their favorites and kind of work through what works well for the pitch, what doesn't work well for the pitch, and then their overall favorite actually gets a special one-on-one with them to work on their novel and editing, and then they give them some of the tools to help them publish it. I would think through BookBaby. So yeah, kind of a really fun, neat opportunity. They also do tweet chats with literary agents and editors, and all kinds of other things that I can't even think of right now because it's a lot of stuff.
It sounds pretty incredible,
Yeah.
everything that the community does to support its writers.
Yeah.
And I, and this is all like the whole big umbrella, International Nano
Yeah.
does all of this. And then to consider as well that you have your local groups, whether they are like a tiny little coffee house group, or, you know, part of the the group that sits under the municipal liaisons. Those are, you've got tons of little pods of people there ready to
Right.
support you in pretty much any section you have.
Yeah. Pretty much. There's people everywhere.
So besides the community, what helps during struggle times? If you like, just in general, as a writer, suggesting to other writers who are considering this a possibility even this year, so whatever we are, 8-9 days away, if they are struggling and they just need to sort of, you know, shift some things around in their brain to get it out on paper, because that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are like maybe top 3 or 4 or 5, if you have that many suggestions of what works for you? Like, obviously, one for me, if I was a writer, would include chocolate. Um, but maybe that doesn't work for everybody. So what is your writing fixes when you are struggling?
So I am what we call it in the nano community a pantser, which means I don't plan. I kind of have an idea of what I'm writing this year, and I think I even actually have my first line already, as long as I don't forget it before the first. So and sometimes the problem with pantsing is that you kind of you fizzle out. So the one thing that, and it sounds like a really terrible suggestion, but I always tell people, don't write a project that you really care about. Because when you fizzle out on a project that you really, really love, like if you are writing like a personal memoir or a family history or something that is like very near and dear to your heart, you are going to get so angry and frustrated when you hit that wall and you can't write anymore. So I always like I said, it sounds like a really backwards piece of advice, but write something that is fun for you, not that is something that it is like you're pouring your soul into. Keep it light, keep it fun. Um, when it comes to, you're actually writing and, you're struggling, give yourself little rewards, whether that is chocolate. For me, it tends to be Chinese food. Because that is just my favorite thing. Sometimes like sushi, I really enjoy that too. Sometime like last year, I I told like my new co-ML, I was like, okay, if I can hit this word count goal, I'm going to Quick Trip and buy myself a cheesecake. Like because they have really amazing like cream cheesecake pies that I love. And then I was really sad because they only had raspberry left, and I had really wanted blueberry, but I was like, pie is pie, and I need something to keep me going. So yeah, little rewards, like they don't have to, maybe it's if you're a video game person, there's always some game coming out in November. So maybe it's I do not get to play my new video game until I hit this word count goal. And then I only get to play for an hour because then I have to hit this goal. So yeah, build like some kind of a reward system for you if you have that kind of mentality. I also think it really helps to write out of the house. It's a little bit harder this year. Like I do not suggest going to your favorite coffee shop and writing, or your favorite restaurant or whatever. But rather than writing in your bedroom at your desk, take your laptop to the living room, write at the kitchen counter. Find other places that are. Take your laptop and drive to McDonald's and write in the parking lot and steal their Wi-Fi, whatever works for you, but get out of your regular area. And then the last thing, it comes back to the community. When you have a problem, go to wherever your region hangs out. For us, it's our Discord channel, and just say, I'm having a problem, I need a pep talk, and I believe in you. I will send you funny gifts or gifs, however you want to say that. I send out handwritten, personalized pep talk cards that you can sign up for on our regional form. And a lot of times I have had people come back and tell me, Samma, you sent that at just the right time. Like, it was in my email. Like, I was about to go onto, whatever page and say I quit. And then your card came and I was able to sit back down and write again. So consider that. I can drop those in the mail anytime. But yeah, remember that you are not alone. Like, someone is always there ready to lift you back up after you have just collapsed on the floor and said, I don't want to do this anymore.
So I have to say, pantser sounds a lot like procrastinator out in the other part of the, world. But even those four are really good for just everyday life, even. So NaNo sounds a lot like it would fit into just about anyone's life interested in doing that type of writing. Having fun, making rewards, going somewhere else when you're stuck. Don't just sort of sit and camp out in the land of block. And then seek out the community that will support you the most.
Right.
That sounds great.
All right.
Okay, so what's on our next slide?
So you should try NaNo if you have ever wanted to write a novel before, whether you have written something or not. If you are already an avid writer with a lot of projects, maybe it's a good opportunity to pick up an old project that you had laid aside and start working on it again. Maybe it is time to lay aside a project that you have been working on and just do something new and fresh and different. Because sometimes, I have a lot of works in progress sitting on my hard drive. I bounce around a lot of different things because sometimes it's just nice to get out of that world and look at something new and pretty. And then eventually when I'm done with that, I can go back to the old thing. If you have ever said the words, if I only had the time, because there will always be an excuse for you to not write the novel or the short stories or the screenplay or whatever it is. And leading into the second part, if you struggle because you don't have that community behind you, so many people are doing it at the same time. There is no excuse. I started in 2009. I was a college student. I had a full class load. I was working a part-time job, which I, commuted for about an hour total every day. I had a busy load. I was it was a crazy time. And, you know, it's about finding those pockets of time. You're not going to just sit and drum out the 50,000 words. No, you're going to take it one day at a time. And I have on the next slide how many words a day that is. But I also like to reiterate that if you enjoy a challenge, not a contest, because it is a challenge of 50,000 words in 30 days. It is not a contest to see who finishes fastest. It is not a contest to see who writes the most. You know, you can have those little contests, and actually the elsewhere region, we do have an annual most words written contest. And I do have a fabulous prize for that. But NaNoWriMo, when you hit your 50,000 word goal, as long as you hit that, it doesn't matter how far you exceed. The prizes don't increase. It is the same goodie packet that every other, whether you wrote exactly 50,000 words or you wrote 1,000,000 words or 1,000,001 words. It's the same goodies, typically in the form of discount codes, like I mentioned, the one for Scrivener earlier. Sometimes you can enter into like a giveaway of books. That has been a goodie for the last couple of years. Various other softwares will give away free trials or like discount codes, stuff like that. There's no monetary value really in those goodies. They are thanks to our sponsors that NaNoWriMo gives those away. So you say, okay, but, and now I hear a bajillion excuses about why you can't do NaNoWriMo. So
it's linking in my mind.
I know, because I hear it every time I say, oh, you should do Nano. No, I can't because of. So
okay, I want to make it clear though that I am not the only one that you say that first part to. Oh, right, it is not only me saying, well, I can't this year. I'm not the only one, people. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it is less than 2,000 words a day. It is 1,669 words. And honestly, you know, if you think about it, how many emails do you write a day that are probably, you know, 300 to 500 words? You know, 1,000 words is about a page, give or take, depending on your spacing and your formatting. So, you know, if you're thinking you're writing 2 to 3 pages a day, that's not that bad. You can, and my suggestion is to use your weekends and, you know, your day off. If you are lucky enough to have like a day off in the middle of the week, I do not. It is like the biggest annoyance in my life since I became a library director that I don't have my Thursdays off anymore. I miss them so much 2 years later. But use your time off from work, because we all work, to build your buffers. So, you know, maybe you strive to hit that 2,000 words a day. I really like to try to do like 5K days or 10K days. I was actually talking to someone earlier. My wordiest day is just over 19,000 words. That was a struggle year, and I really, really needed to build that day up. But so it's kind of always in the back of my head that, can I hit that 20K day this time? Who knows if it will happen, maybe someday. I always suggest use your stolen moments to write. So if you have a lunch break at work, take your notebook with you. You know, if you have a laptop, if you're writing on a tablet, write on your cell phone, like send yourself an email that you can copy and paste later. But yeah, you know, write on your lunch break, when you are waiting in line, if you're at the doctor's office and in the waiting room for God knows how long, you know, use those little times to write. I almost always keep a, oops, oh, it's all the way over here. This is actually a departing gift, like a small notebook nearby just to scribble in. I also have various apps on my phone that I can just kind of, you know, oh, that's a really good idea. I should remember that for when I get to sit down and write tonight. So yeah, there are always going to be these little pockets of time that you can get even just a couple hundred words in, and that you otherwise would not have.
I know that you have said in the past that, and you've said it multiple times during this presentation, that you are a writer. So that's something that you do year round. You have, these little blurbs or scenarios run through your head, or you see played out in front of you, and you write that down to refer to later. Do you use some of those as inspiration during NaNo? Do you keep like, do you find yourself looking for more of those in the weeks before NaNo to sort of build up sort of backup things that you can fill into your story?
So for me, sometimes it comes down to kind of like what I have been working on in the off season. So this year, my novel, I had 3 ideas. They all stemmed from my trilogy that I have been publishing. It's kind of going to be like a spin-off thing where I'm done telling those 3 stories. Now I want to tell 3 new stories, but they're characters from these original 3, and we're just going to get a more in-depth look at these characters and their relationships and lives, because I really enjoyed them and I wish I could have explored them more. So like I kind of have like, my thing as a pantser is that I never write things down.
I noticed that when you had like a title or a first sentence or whatever, you had said that you have it and you hope you don't forget it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, just write it
down. It's simple, so I hope I will remember it. But so at one point, like in my off season, sometimes like I will be like having a conversation, or just something will pop into my head, and that's where having like the note app on my phone, I'll just go like, oh, that's interesting, like, and I will like, I'll write it down and just kind of like have it in this note, and maybe I'll remember to look at the note. Sometimes I won't. I do have a document on my computer that I have just some like random written words in there, and it's one of those things. I remember in one of the Pearls Before Swine strip comic collections, Stephen Pastis says, or I think it's Stefan actually, Pastis, he has a story about he woke up from a dead sleep with this amazing idea from this dream that he'd had, and he scribbled a note to himself and then went back to sleep. And when he woke up the next morning, he said, what the crap did that mean? And this idea is completely gone. So my kind of thought process is that if it was a really good idea, it will either stay with me or come back to me, because otherwise it just wasn't meant to be, and that's fine. I'm all about fate. My kind of the and actually going into the next point too, the set aside that designated time to do your writing. For me, that tends to be after work, when I get home, before I go to bed. But when I worked retail in college, my designated writing time were my 15-minute breaks and my lunch at work. Because by the time I got home, I would have to do homework or whatever. So outside of NaNo, in which case I would write literally anytime. Like, it's a good thing my professors did not pay that much attention to me, because chances are I was not paying much attention to them. I know I was a really terrible.
Well, at least your grades are in now.
Right? Yeah, thank God. So have those dedicated spaces where that is when you're going to write. For some people, they like to get up early before they have to get the kids ready for school, before they got to, get ready for work, whatever, they get on their laptop or if they're writing longhand, whatever it is, and they do that. For me, I'm a night owl. I like staying up late. So I'm a before bed person. Like I will take my laptop into bed with me and write for like 45 minutes to an hour in bed. And then I can just, save, shut down the laptop and go to sleep. But the biggest thing to remember for anyone who is trying NaNoWriMo for the first time, any words written is a success, even if it is not 50,000, because it is still more words than you had, November 1st. And it's a start, because starting is the hardest part. You can't write a novel if you don't start the novel. So doing the whole, if I only had time, if you will not make the time to do it now, when will you? Like, no excuses. If you're going to do it, just do it. You can imagine the Shia LaBeouf GIF where, just do it. Yeah. The big flames and whatever. I throw that at people all the time when they're complaining. Just do it. Like, I'm not stopping you. I want you to do it.
Oh shoot, I had something in my head that I wanted to ask in the just do it completely.
Sorry.
Threw it out of my head.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf has that happenstance issue.
Okay, we're just gonna move on.
Sorry, it's okay.
So I know you said this wasn't a contest, but I also know that you have really said that from the beginning, and still on other videos that we have put out there on behalf of the libraries, we have people commenting, and they don't always get an answer. So I wanted to get this on screen today in case I don't get them the answer later. How do you win? How do you consider yourself, or when do you consider yourself a winner of NaNo?
Okay. So on the main site, NaNoWriMo.org, there is a box where you insert your word count. I won't go into the logistics of that. It's hard to explain unless you're looking right at it. But you update your word count. I suggest doing it daily. You can earn some badges for doing it daily. If badges are your choice of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Jam.
Sure. Reward. That, yeah. Like, if you feel rewarded by earning badges, there you go. Very Girl Scout, Boy Scout. When you have written your 50,000 words and inserted that into the word counter, yay! There will be like a video that pops up and some confetti will happen on your screen. You'll earn a 50K badge.
Electronic confetti is the best kind of confetti.
Yeah, you don't have to clean it up. It's great. So one of the one question that always gets asked is, well, how do you know I'm not cheating? First of all, there is no cheating in NaNoWriMo. It is not a word that we use. There are certain rules that we hope that you abide by, but there is no enforcement. By cheating at NaNoWriMo, you are cheating no one but yourself. As I mentioned, the goodies do not have a monetary value. And actually, a lot of us who have won many, many years in a row, like my Scrivener code, I give it away every year because I don't need it. I already own Scrivener. So yeah, there is no cheating in Nano. You write your 50,000 words and you're honest about it, or you don't write 50,000 words and you're not honest about it and you write it in anyway, or you don't write 50,000 words and it's okay because you still have more words than when you started. So
and you can try for better next year. Like
Exactly.
the whole idea for NaNo, to me at least, seems very self-motivated. You
It is.
want to complete the 50,000 words because, like you said, there are 50,000 words I didn't have at the beginning of the
Right.
month. And then that sort of, at least for my brain, brings me back to the question I had lost, which was for those 30 days, I just want to clarify that you are writing only. You are not writing, a paragraph and then going back and editing that paragraph or deciding that, 2 pages in that your plot is going to have this drastic change. So you've got to go and fix, whatever needs to be changed in those first couple of pages. You're not doing that type of editing through as well.
Correct. So, for example, when Rainbow Rowell wrote Fangirl, the way Rainbow Rowell writes is that she writes for however many hours a day. When she starts the next day, she goes back over what she wrote previously and does an edit and then continues. And the next day she goes back, edits, and then writes. Doing NaNoWriMo, she could not do that.
There's not enough time in the day to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So what she found when she finally went back over what she had written during NaNoWriMo, Fangirl, because when she edits like that, sometimes she'll just be like, she would scrap a whole day of writing and just say, no, this was not where I wanted to go. But she couldn't do that with NaNoWriMo. She had to keep going. So what she found was that she actually kept most of the manuscript she wrote in November, which is kind of cool because it made her step out of her comfort zone and try a different way of writing. I personally, I cannot imagine going back and editing my novel as I write it. While yes, my editing process would probably be far less annoying if I did that because, oh my God, it's a nightmare. It just, I like to think, I'm a very linear thinker when I write. My books happen very linearly. So to go back and constantly be rethinking the past of the book would not work for my brain. So one thing we kind of say, like in the NaNo community, is that November is for writing, editing is for December. And honestly, a lot of us even wait until January if we edit at all. Some of us just.
I was going to say, well, I don't know that I would do it in January either, because if how you talk about editing is any indication, January is already sort of depressing for me. So, it's that whole like seasonal issue is, so having to do that, maybe that's more of a April. I could put it off until April.
A lot of people will use Camp for editing. They are working on bringing back some of those tools that were available, because you could make a goal like editing number of pages and that kind of a thing. And those there were some issues with the new website, but they are working on them. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Editing? Was that your train of thought?
NaNo HQ, they sponsor the Now What months, starting I think in January, and they have a lot of those resources for editing and pushing forward with your novel, and that kind of thing. That's when that happens, is the Now What months, because you spent all of November writing your novel, so maybe now what is, well, I'm not finished with it, but maybe I do want to go back and do some editing, or I did all of that, I am ready to edit, and then I'm ready to publish it. So yeah, it really looks what happens after you have written your novel. So yeah, NaNo has resources for pretty, like, wherever the writing world takes you, so to speak.
Okay.
So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and finish with this slide that I brought up already?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. There were good questions. So if I have convinced you to do it, I hope I convinced someone to do it after sitting here for over an hour. Gosh, we talk too much. So you can join officially at NaNoWriMo.org. Tweens and teens and elementary kids too, again, however old, as parents feel comfortable letting their children online. ywp.nanowrimo.org. If you are local to us here, you can join the USA, Wisconsin, elsewhere region and make us your home region. There's also, like I said, the Eau Claire region or the Northern region. I know that they are covered by IFLS, a couple of IFLS libraries as well. And that's all available on that main page. And if you have issues, like I said, jump on the forums and say, how do I do this? And we'll send you some screen caps. The last thing you want to do before November, and there is still time, it is never too late to start. Like I said, I started NaNoWriMo 3 days late the first time, and I still finished early. But get familiar with your word processor or how you are going to write. So on the forums, there is a thread. We call them the Typewriter Brigade. They do their nano novels on typewriters. Yes, really. And some of them have like fantastic collections of typewriters, some working, some in disrepair, but they usually have a favorite. They sometimes have names. It's a delightful thread if you are a fan of typewriters. It is a kind of a bucket list goal of mine to do nano on a typewriter one year. I think it will be horrible, but it will also be really fun. There are people who handwrite, so make sure you have enough notebooks, a pen that you like. I really enjoy this is actually a Dollar Tree a Sharpie knockoff pen. I like really fine tip like gel pens personally. So if you have a pen you like, make sure you have a supply of them just in case, because you will lose your pen. Your laptop, make sure that it's fully updated, that you're not having any power supply problems, that kind of a thing. If you're writing on a tablet, you might want to be looking into getting an external keyboard. Some tablets now support mice. That's apparently a thing now. I just read about today. Or, your phone. There are people who, your phone has Bluetooth. Guess what also comes in Bluetooth? Keyboards. You can write on your phone with a Bluetooth keyboard. So if that's your option, you can write in Google Docs on your phone, or download whatever number of writing apps. There's tons of them, even OpenOffice or that kind of a thing. If you are looking for software beyond Microsoft Word or whatever, freebie Office Word-like product you might be using, like OpenOffice or LibreOffice, you can check out my quick list. It's tinyurl.com/writersquicklist. It is newly updated for 2020. And I have been told regularly that it can seem kind of overwhelming because it is such a long, huge list, but it does offer some navigation tools to help you find exactly what it is you're looking for. And there is a pretty wide range of the different word processor softwares, both softwares for download as well as cloud storage options. Any other questions?
I do have a couple here. I think one is maybe, there's obviously Rebel. We want to talk about Rebels. But now that I'm actually looking at the time, I'm in a little bit of a panic. So I think maybe the one we will keep, because that can sort of be a highlight as an after, and that was, how do you take the 50,000 words to being published. So just as a teaser, I will make Samma not during November, but
Yeah, please,
sometime
God, no.
after that, I will make her come back and we will talk about that a little bit. But the one that I had thought of that I didn't mention to you before, but I know that you have this, is like, what gets you in the mood to do this? Like, December 31st arrives, you get home with that bag of Chinese food.
Oh, you mean October 31st?
Oh, what did I say?
You said December 31st.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
That's
I
okay.
did. I did mean October 31st. So you get there with that bag of Chinese food, complete the rest of your prep.
So as an ML, my NaNoWriMo season actually starts in like August, because that is when our new MLs are announced. So this year we added Ariana to our team. I was really super excited. Anybody that knows us will tell you, and they probably knew this before, but Ariana is like my nano bestie. We talk constantly. And actually, we were lucky enough earlier this year before COVID happened. She was traveling through, going back to River Falls from her parents and passing down 29 through Cadott. And I happened to be at work. So we finally got to meet in person for the first time, even though we only live like 2.5 hours apart. It just kind of happened. But so I start kind of prepping for the region and deciding like when I'm going to do my write-ins, what I'm going to do here at the library, and that kind of thing, like end of August, early September. Then in October, people start coming back into the forums, checking in, telling us what they've been doing in the off season if we haven't seen them in a while, announcing their new projects, and like the activity level has just like really come up. For me, my pre-nano eve kind of situation is that depending on the day, this year we really lucked out. Halloween is on Saturday, so I get the whole day to do whatever I want. I don't have to be at work. So I might actually go get Chinese food. I don't do that every year. But I typically, I watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then I watch Shock Treatment. And I'm going to use a colorful word here, which I apologize for. But typically, if I time it correctly, by the time Bitchin' in the Kitchen comes on, that is like my cue. It's midnight and I can start writing. And by the time the movie is over, I'm ready to go to bed, because that is my favorite song in that movie. So yeah, I watch Rocky Horror and Shock Treatment. And then, I'm usually, the last couple of years, we've been in the Discord chat. So, I've got my phone open with my laptop there, and, I'm just chatting with everybody. We do a countdown, some people have gone to bed. Some people, I enjoy doing a midnight start. Not everybody does. Some people like to turn it early, but I really like it. I try to get in like at least my 2,000 words. Some years I've hit 5K before I go to bed. It really depends on how excited I am about the novel that I want to write that year. This year, I am really excited about, I think, what I will be doing. So I think it will come a lot easier than, say, last year's project did. But yeah, so we just we chime in on the Discord, and some people, they're parents, so they've taken the kids trick-or-treating, so they're, harvesting, their favorite candy out of their kids' trick-or-treat bags, or, whatever it is. But yeah, some of us, we just kind of wait and sit very anxiously waiting for midnight to roll around. I typically, I'll have my document open, well in advance. I'll, make it, a nice title page. And yeah, so we just kind of wait in anxious, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my goodness. I'm a writer and I have no words. But yeah, so just
Anticipation.
I should know that word, Rocky Horror, but yeah, so but yeah, that has been my Halloween since 2010 at least. Like that's the first time I remember doing it, but I very well may have done it in 2009, and I didn't start NaNoWriMo until 3 days later because I love Rocky Horror. It's my favorite. So yeah, that's how it works for me at any rate. All right, are we ready to talk about rebels?
I think we are.
All right. So, rebels, these people who don't want to write a novel for whatever reason, it's fine. So this year I have already seen people who want to write tabletop RPG games, whether that is a whole brand new like game system, or they just want to write like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, all across the board. There are people who write screenplays. There are people who write comic books and graphic novels, poetry, short story collections, memoirs, general nonfiction titles. There was kind of a running joke one time about someone wanting to write a book about turnips. If that's your jam, go for it. We don't care what the 50,000 words are for, just that you write the 50,000 words. So what does it mean to be a rebel? It means that you are not writing a 50,000 word novel, but that you do still have an end goal that can be quantified. Typically, your goal should have to do with writing, like of some kind. Even a graphic novel or comic book artist, they still have to write the story and the dialogue, unless it is a wordless comic, in which case that's a lot of drawing, but you do you, man. But yeah, some kind of storytelling or some kind of written word. This can also include editing, writing shorter works, writing other types of fiction, or writing nonfiction, as I mentioned before. So an example I have of a non-traditional goal would be someone wants to write a graphic novel for NaNoWriMo. As you know, and you could probably tell, doing a comic book of any kind takes a lot of time and effort. So they decide that 1 hour of work, whether that is researching their characters, sketching, drawing panels, working on their dialogue, whatever it is, whenever they spend 1 hour of work toward that project, it's going to equal 1,000 words. So in order to finish their 50,000 words, they have to work for about 2 hours a day. Sometimes tracking that would be a little bit more difficult because, say maybe one day, well, I didn't look at the clock when I sat down, but gosh, I feel like I've sat here forever. Maybe on a weekend, they get to work on it for 4 hours. One day they're only going to get to work on it for, 30 minutes. So it takes a little bit more self-discipline to be a rebel, I think, just because you are tracking your progress differently from everyone else. But it opens a lot of doors. There is a rebel category on the forums, which is we use a lot of different words for the forums, but an area specifically for people who are not writing novels. You should be able to just search rebel and it will come up. And yeah, like I have been a rebel some years, or you felt like a rebel. Previously, if you were working on an existing project, you were not starting a fresh novel, you were considered a rebel. That is not true anymore. If it is a novel, it does not matter where you are in the novel, just that you only count the 50,000 words you write in November. So technically I could start writing my novel tonight so I don't lose my first line. But me personally, I really enjoy starting a fresh new project every year. But one year, my first published novel that I published this year, I did a complete and total rewrite of a draft I had written like way back in like high school. I looked at that draft recently and oh my God, like I was right to restart that and just throw it away. So yeah, I was kind of a rebel that year because I did have this other thing to kind of look back on and help guide me. I don't, maybe that made me a planner and that just feels gross. Because I have my pants every year. So yeah, like being a rebel means different things to different people. But overall, you are still welcome to join us regardless of what it is that you want to work on. We're open to everyone. All right. I feel like my little thing is probably covering this, but so the meeting's almost over. So I'm just gonna ask a question. So is there anything else that I did not mention?
If there is, I don't know what it is. So because we are alone right now,
Yeah.
I am just going to say thank you. That is your last slide, right?
Oh, so my last slide is if you need help, you can always ask me. This is my current avatar as of today. A little bit of a shout out to the artist, Augie, Mrs._gendered, is on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I absolutely love their art, and they did this commission for me for only $10, and I love it so much. It is adorable. You can email me at the library. Just make sure you use a subject line that I will recognize, such as NaNoWriMo. Otherwise, I fully admit I may delete it because I get a lot of email. You can find me on NaNoWriMo at Samma J, or on the forums. There's an underscore, so Samma_J. And I'm happy to help you in whatever way that I can. That
okay, and at this point, I do want to say that I do promise to check this video for comments, even in later years. So, so if you lose, if this no longer becomes the way of finding Samma, leave a comment on the video, and I can or she's not answering fast enough for your liking, I can hound her, and I can hound her until she answers both of us. So that is a fourth way of getting your questions to her.
Yeah, Leslie always knows how to get a hold of me, even if it's an annoying text message at 10 p.m. or something. So
that hardly ever happens.
Hardly ever.
Thank you so much, Samma. I think this was very well, I was going to say done, but informative. So I thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
I hope that this gives some people that nudge that they needed to start something fun, or to reapply to this program.
Yeah, and again, it is never too late. Even if you are a planner and you see this, tomorrow morning, October 23rd, is that where we're at? Yeah. And you say, gosh, that's only a week to plan. Do I have time? Yes, you have time. You do not need to have it outlined within an inch of its life. You just need to have an idea, because everything starts with an idea and you can just let it spitball from there. That writer's quick list that I mentioned earlier has a ton of resources. If you are local to either Leslie or I, we're happy to help you find resources online. We can get you some printables. Leslie, I know Augusta has a copy of that official NaNoWriMo book.
Oh, the writing one. I don't. That's too last minute, Samma. I can't give you the title for that.
Yeah, I can't think of what it is either, but it is there. Yeah.
I know exactly what she's talking about. Yeah. So just refer to it as the book about NaNoWriMo that Samma mentioned.
Yeah.
It may take me a minute, but I will get there.
Yeah, but that one has a lot of really great templates in it that Leslie can make copies of. There's also on the Young Writers program available for everyone. The workbooks that are available under resources, those are a really great place to start too. And you don't have to print those. You can edit them right in your PDF viewer. They are editable. So that's really cool. All right. Gosh, we've been talking for a long time.
Not we.
I know it's me. I don't know how to shut up. I fully admit that about myself, but all right.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. Again, I hope that this is tremendously helpful for at least one person out there. And if you need any further guidance or push, please let us know. It won't be off a cliff. It will just be in the right direction. We'll see you later.